welcome to Tinkering with Edkelar. When I was on vacation in 2019, I found a little decorative pond ornament. This little dragon riding a unicorn raft. The little thing looked so cute, but I did not like the paint job, way too dull, and the oars, which were just plump. I decided that this would be the perfect base for a little repaint project. First off, the oars. They just have to go. My Dremel was not in the least impressed by the material, and in very short order I had them removed. The gaping holes in the sculpture needed some fixing. I used Fimo since I had some around. It was, well, let's just say I had it around for some time. Getting it netted to a useful state was painful. Putting in holes for the new oars here saved me some drilling later too. After the damage was patched up, I used a cut-up SIM card to make some new scales. Baking was not an option as I have no idea how the foam interior would react. I used my reflow station instead, since it has temperature control and a fine nozzle. I could not stop pondering, what pond should I give this little guy? Inspiration came in the form of a diorama video on YouTube. Why not pour some resin for a pond cross section? A quick base coat of paint was called for, just to even the field. At this point, I still had my mind set on airbrushing. I put up some plastic sheets with hot glue as a sacrificial mold and added some filler stuff to minimize the amount of gravel required. Now, dragons are known for their treasure, right? This is where the main theme came to mind. Let's have a sunken treasure chest as if our dragon just lost it. I used veneer and glue for the chest. It only needs to hold up until the pour. I could not stop myself from having ideas. Here I add some Q-tips to route a few wires for LED effects. Instead of buying some greenery, I cut up some plastic flower leaves. Online shopping had a selection of aquarium decorations, but it turns out that a €2 piece usually comes with a €40 shipping fee. The mini fishes were the only affordable ones. I glued the first ones in place, just in case they are buoyant. Stuff for the treasure chest is up next. mostly painted gravel for gold nuggets, a yellow LED and a brass chain. Oh, and for giggles, I added a Lego tire, with some rust decor on the rim. I made a hole underneath the leg of the dragon and threaded a piece of wire through. The use will become apparent a bit later. While I still came up with new ideas for the pond, I decided to just paint the sculpture. It would be much easier and it would also provide a better fitting style, going for an animation cell look to fit the toon style. I also thought about dry brushing accents, but decided that this would go against the flat shaded look I'm after. Lots and lots of delicate painting. I am so glad I got myself magnification glasses. After some tests, it finally was time, pouring the first layer. I did not dare to pour all at once, for my mold was quite improvised. A dash of blue coloring made the resin look a bit more like water. The second and third layers were much easier on the nerves. I added the boat, protected by a layer of cellophane wrap to make the proper impression on the surface. It was sinking in too deep for my taste, so I suspended it from above. I kind of regret the decision to add some floating fishes. It turns out that they do indeed float, and I needed to add fish holders, which did not quite work as expected. One fish is now peeking out, and one is almost upside down. After 2 days of hardening, I dared to remove the mold. Sanding, and some more sanding. Going from the 120 grit on my disc sander for the rough job all the way down to 1200 wet sanding. Time for polishing, making the resin transparent again. Yoo-hoo! And now, the base. I thought about a bit of wood turning, but since I needed to make room for batteries and a switch, I went with a basic glued up frame and a round piece of plywood. After I cut the hexagon back into a circle and sanded it off, I gave the edge a 1/over with a profile bit in my router table. That table is a build video yet to come, because it is still missing a fence. I drilled holes for the wires and gave the base a few coats with some stain and a clear coat finish. To connect the resin block with the base, I did not want to rely on glue. It does contain quite some gravity after all. A few pieces of wire made it easy to transfer good locations for screws from the resin to the base and then drilling back up again. Here you can see me tapping holes in the resin to receive some machine screws. I never thought I'd do a water tap. The anchor for the boat masks the wires for another LED. I routed them through the drilled hole under the dragon's leg through a painted Q-tip. For this gimmick I chose a flicker LED from one of those electrical candles and kept it with a sphere from old Christmas light strings. The finishing touch was a bit of string to hide the wires again and flickering lantern. To solder everything together on the underside, I flipped the construction over. This is where I realized that the wire management was non-existent and I needed some covers. Oh well, maybe my 3D printer will provide something nifty. With hindsight being 2020, it would have been much simpler to just cut and glue a plastic sheet instead of printing. But hey, this way I have some lettering. And here we are, one finished art project. I am mighty proud, even though the centerpiece was mass-produced. I think I might be able to sculpt something like this, as I have done a sculpture based on a ref sheet some time ago. Maybe next time. And this concludes tonight's episode. See you next time. I feel an electronics restoration coming up. And now for the base. I thought about a bit of wood. This is a real complicated string of words. Who wrote this? Oh yeah, I did. Never mind.